Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Health Reclaim. This is your host, DrPND, and today we are going to talk about more of a sort of a short podcast, a very necessary topic, something that really trips people all the time and has most certainly caused the most amount of failures. Um, you know, for people not finishing programs, not getting their health on point, and really not reaching their results. So the topic today is going to be, what does the journey entail? What is the reality of the health journey that people foretake, and what does it look like in actual reality? So a lot of people fail due to the fact that they cannot hang in there. They fail the program. They stop prematurely. They just cannot do it. And the reason is because it is very hard. There is no doubt about that. I know social media in general has, really painted a very positive, very pleasant, very easy and positive picture on all levels of whether somebody's, trying to lose weight and they embark on a weight loss journey, or whether they're trying to reverse their health. And, the testimonies are phenomenal, and, the timeline looks phenomenal, and everything looks to be very straightforward from point A of, ill health or, obesity to, great health and, addressing obesity, whatever, the goal might be. And it's a nice, beautiful, straight slope upwards, and you're done within 12 weeks, 3-4 months, maybe tops, and that's it. And the brutal reality is that it does not work like that. All right. So let me give you an example what my journey looked like in reality when I began. So first, when I began, I had health issues that I had no idea I had. Nonetheless, my goal back then, I'm talking 96, was to lose body fat. I was a big, strong kid, a lot of strength, good amount of muscle, but I was always husky. My father, he had overweight issues. Again, big, strong, lumberjack looking guy, played professional sports, but he can pack on body fat very easily and very effortlessly. I was in a similar scenario, genetics carry over, there's no doubt. So to me, the challenge was to, be able to lose the body fat and, obviously put additional muscle on, and just generally look a lot better. I was going after the bodybuilders look. We lived in Florida, so obviously, going to the beach, looking good, was very important to me. I understand it was vain. I understand it was, had nothing to do with health at that particular time. But nonetheless, the thing I had to do is I had to learn how to apply basic, sound dietary principles to my lifestyle. Now, I trained regularly. I trained optimally for the most part. My stress was low. Just my lifestyle in general, family and school and, otherwise was very conducive to, the kind of bodybuilding fitness lifestyle. The issue is that even though I ate plenty and I covered my protein bases and, I hydrated well, I was not eating properly in order to induce body fat loss. So when that happened, and I embarked on that journey, I had a couple of mentors. They were, professional bodybuilders. Those guys were, really good and knew how to manipulate body composition very well, very effectively, in a healthy, natural way. So I embarked on the journey. They helped me, walk me through, the basic principles. They explained things to me, and I started to try to apply them. Well, I failed miserably. As simple as they were, I failed miserably. The reason being is because I had no idea how severely I was addicted to food, particularly processed food. Now, I wasn't here eating, Twinkies and ding dongs and ho-hos and, bags of chips, drinking a 6-pack, Coke or whatever it might have been. Not at all. Never touched those things really. But I did eat bread, pasta, bagels. I'll treat myself to occasional donut. Cookies were, definitely a treat every day, 1 or 2 or 3. On the weekends, 1 day a week, I allowed myself to kind of splurge. So I made a pack of 24 cookies, which was easy for me to do. Definitely, indulge in a cheesecake a few times a month. And not like in a piece, but like actually a whole, the whole cheesecake. So I had no idea that I was really addicted to sugar. and processed food in general, which is, you guys know, if you listen to any of my podcasts, any processed, highly refined processed food is going to, include the three great evils that I call. There's going to be white flour, white refined bleached flour, industrial seed vegetable oils, and refined sugar, whether it's going to be table sugar like sucrose or high fructose corn syrup, the worst of the worst. But regardless, it's going to have some kind of combination of those three. In most cases, it's going to have some amount of all of those, all three of these. So I was addicted, and it really took me for a spin. It took me months to be able to adhere to my diet for about 3-4 days straight without actually cheating. Now, mind you, I was eating. I was not starving myself by any means. I had plenty of carbohydrates. I had plenty of fats. I had plenty of protein, but they were coming from clean foods, things like, vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, green beans, whatever it might be. Clean starches, white rice, brown rice, sweet potatoes, yams, regular potatoes, and good quality source of protein, which is chicken, turkey, fish, and beef. Not much beef because I couldn't afford beef back then, but nonetheless, again, it was plenty of food. Had some nuts, had some, something like the Udo's Choice healthy oils, extra virgin olive oil, and the issue was not caloric deficit. The issue was not that I was starving myself. The issue was that I just couldn't handle it. And it was really hard. Now, mind you, again, I was never obese. I was never, one who sits there and literally like a glutton, obliterating, things day in and day out, like some people do. We have, a whole nother level of food addiction. But nonetheless, I, even though I thought I was eating the right foods, which I was brought up on those foods, thinking they're part of natural, normal diet, I realized very quickly how addicted I was to these foods. Now, I also grew up with cheese, and when you try to lose body fat, dairy has to go. They're just a fact. Nothing to do with health in a sense, but when it comes to body fat composition, and you try to lose body fat, dairy has to go. Okay, whether it's cheese or whether it's milk, any yogurt included, for optimal fat loss. I didn't have a problem kicking dairy actually at all, even though it was nutritious and it was good. I was raised on it. I missed it because especially feta cheese. That's just something that us Bulgarians are born and raised on. It's a staple pretty much in every meal, and we can be. And certainly was in my days when I grew up. But nonetheless, I was not addicted to that. So I was able to give it up fairly quickly. Missed it, definitely wanted to have it eventually, but it was not really something that was bothering me. When it came to sugar, the bread, it was a whole other story. I couldn't handle it. So literally 3 to 4 months, it took me that I was able to actually follow my diet 3 to 4 days in a row without ever breaking it and cheating. And cheating to me was eating a few pieces of cookies, eating a piece of bread. I like peanut butter jelly sandwiches, any of those. So that eventually morphed in about 6-7 months into that, then morphed into me being able to handle 4, 5, 6 days. Within a year, I was actually able to literally handle 6 full days nonstop of being able to eat my diet and not cheat, and then have 1 or 2 big cheat meals a week. The problem was I couldn't wait until I lived for Sundays because that was my cheat days. I was not training, I was just resting, and I would indulge. And they honestly kept going on for additional 6 months. It was not until about 2 years into this journey that I was able to truly get myself not to cheat at all for 6 weeks to 8 weeks at a time and reach my goals. And, at that point, I started engaging into bodybuilding competitions and so forth. But it was so hard. Now, even though I was able to master that, it was not freedom because I was still severely addicted to those foods. I just developed the ability to resist them long enough to treat myself. And a quick story. The first time that I was able to withstand about 6 to 7 weeks of good, perfect eating pattern, I reached really good goals. I had an 8-pack. I was just really lean, looked great. And we celebrated, me and my friends, by going out. I was always the designated driver. So on the way home at about 2 o'clock in the morning, we stopped by a Perkins there in Fairwater, Florida. And I said, I'm going to go out and treat myself. So I ordered a Reuben sandwich with fries. I scarfed that. I got so high it wasn't even funny. I was like, I'm gonna order a second. In about an hour, I literally had 3 servings of Reuben sandwiches with 3 servings of fries. So 3 orders. So if that wasn't enough, on the way out, if anybody knows Perkins or remembers Perkins, they were really famous for their massive baked pies and big muffins and cookies and stuff like that. So I get a blueberry muffin on the way out, and they were big muffins. So I eat that. Now, mind you, that's the first time I literally had sugar in about 6 to 7 weeks, like literally. Now, my friends knew very well I never did drugs, nor did I ever drink. So I'm the designated driver. I ate that muffin. It hit me about probably 5 to 10 minutes after I ate that muffin. I got so high. I literally got high as a kite. It was the severest euphoria that I literally ever experienced. I was driving with the window down, like yelling, like, man, this is amazing. And they were laughing at me and looking at me like, tell me, like, dude, what happened to you? Like, we know you don't drink and do drugs. Like, what happened here? And I had no idea. I literally had no answer. But later, ultimately, I found out how addicted I was to sugar, particularly. That when I took sugar out for that long for the first time, and I introduced a large amount from this one muffin, again, it was big. Later, I come to find out that muffin contained over 95 grams of pure fructose, sucrose, that I got high. And that's how addictive sugar was. That was the first time that really dawned on me. The reason I'm saying this and telling this story is because people, in order to succeed, they need to know the reality of their severe food addiction and how severely addicted those foods are. And when I say their addiction, I want to be very clear. I don't blame people one bit. Okay. I blame absolutely 100% the industries that promote and produce those foods and tout them as normal part of a healthy diet, which they're not. Okay. There's no difference you getting a ho-ho, a ding dong, or a whatever the most processed food is, like if we get the name of it, Twinkie, and eating a blueberry muffin that is completely done from pretty much similar ingredients. Yeah, one of them might be the worst of the worst, but the other is not that much better. I mean, it's like you comparing cocaine to heroin or crack. Right? Yeah, one might argue that cocaine, might be a little bit less intense than somebody smoking crack or meth. Who knows? But nonetheless, you're gonna end up give or take in the same place eventually. So I blame those industries for that because they produce those foods, they market those foods, and they lobby for those foods to be, touted as, a normal part of a healthy diet. And that's wrong. So just to be clear, I don't blame people for being addicted. Okay. But nonetheless, folks are addicted. And until they realize the gravity of the problem, they're going to struggle. And there is not a secret. There is no, everybody wants to know, what is the secret to get off sugar? What is the secret to not crave? What is the secret to, losing body fat fast, efficiently, and being a breeze and not having, there is no such thing. If you do it right, you're going to struggle. You're going to go through a withdrawal. You are going to go through a detoxification of those substances without fail. And it's not going to be easy. Might be a little easier for others. Nonetheless, it is hard, relatively speaking, for everyone. In 27 and a half years of doing this, being in industry, personally and professionally, I've never, ever seen anybody engage into a journey from A to Z, 12 months, reach their goal perfectly, get off sugar, never touch it again, complete detoxification, complete, aversion naturally from that, those processed foods after 12 weeks and never looking back. No such thing. Few, very extremely rarely, I've seen people who are very strong-minded and willed, they'll tough it out for 12 weeks, 16 weeks, but after that, once they reach their goals, they break. And oftentimes they'll go back and harder because the addiction nobody can get rid of the addiction that quickly. It just doesn't work like that. So when people ask me, well, what is the secret? I'll tell you what the secret is, if there's such thing. It's being under severe perseverance and diligence and discipline day in and day out. And when you fall, which you will, get back up. That means you fall off every single day because you hit that cookie, hit that donut on the way to work. Get back up and try again next day. Try again next meal. I have many times people that engage into my programs and they'll say, I ask them, do you follow your plan? And they'll say, yes. And long time ago, I had to learn to ask the right questions because a lot of people follow the plan. So if it's meal 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it might be, yeah, they're exactly eating what is on their plan. But when you ask an open-ended question, do you follow the plan? They say yes. And they're right, they're not lying. But what they're not telling me, well, I also had a donut on the way to work. So I had my breakfast, it was awesome, it was good, but the craving I had to satisfy. So on my way to work, I stopped by Starbucks and grabbed a croissant, a donut, whatever it might have been. And so now I learned to ask the question, okay, do you following your diet strictly exactly as it is? Yes. Okay. Are you eating anything else that's not supposed to be out there? It really doesn't. Anything that goes into your mouth, I don't get to submit that is not approved. And people say, yeah, I eat this, I eat this, I eat this, I eat this. And I can sympathize to that because I've been there. I know how hard it is. But in order for me to help anybody, and ultimately for them to help themselves, they have to be honest. So the reality of the journey is that you're gonna trip thousands, perhaps times, and you're gonna get back up if you can. As long as you get back up and you're willing to get back up and keep trying, you will succeed. We can get into technicalities of explaining, brain chemicals and dynamics of how, hormones and endorphins work and all this nonsense. It really doesn't matter. The bottom line is that however it happens, it's going to come a time that you're going to click. What I mean by click, it just is going to happen. It's different for everybody. Can't explain it. Really, there's not even a scientific explanation of that. I'll be honest with you. It happens. And for some people, that can be a year or two, some can be many years. I had a client, really sweet lady, and she's still a friend of ours to this day. Her name is Nancy. And she came to us a long time ago. And she wanted to get fit, wanted to lose body fat, wanted to get in great shape. And she had a good goal in mind. She got fit, she put on muscle, she got really healthy, she dropped quite a bit of body fat, but she just could not go past the point that she really wanted to. And it was visible that she needed to lose more body fat. And over and over and over and over again, she would lie, not intentionally, she would lie that she was following protocol. And unfortunately, that was the days that were earlier, a lot. That was over 20 years ago. And I didn't have the skills, nor did we have the information that we have now. So she was so good at giving me the answers that I was looking for that she was lying to herself ultimately. And got to a point that we remained friends. She greatly thanked us, gave us great review, but she went to somebody else. And after that, about 3-4 months, she went to another person, and kept going. About 2.5, almost 3 years. She went through, I want to say maybe 7 to 8 different nutritionists, trainers, experts, people that I personally knew, some of them, or I've known and knew of them, and they were great. Every one of them did great because they were experienced, they knew what they were doing. Finally, in the third year, she came back and she literally admitted, saying, you know what, I was not following things thoroughly. I was actually lying to you, but ultimately I was lying to myself. And what was really amazing is that she finally clicked. And when she did, she got in the best shape of her life. And she absolutely looked amazing. And she was 50 and over at that time. But it was absolutely amazing what happened. And to me, that was a great education as well, because I've learned that moment. It verified to me what I knew all along. I never seen it in practice at the time. But you will click. If you don't give up, the change will happen and you're going to know. And the reality is that you might start tripping every meal. You can't go without having a sugar after your meal. I have people that breakfast, lunch, dinner have to have some sweet. They might go down to 2 or 3 times from 4 or 5 times. After a few weeks, few months, might go down to 1 or 2 times. Okay. And then for a while, might be that you just have something sweet right after dinner, because that's the hardest part for some reason. I believe a big part of that is because cortisol is up, people are stressed out. Dinner is something that is just, you're kind of coming down and watching. Usually people watch TV, relax with family. More of a psychological aspect, perhaps as well as physiological, obviously. But the sugar thing is really the hardest to give at night. And they might go there for months on end, sometimes a year. And then they'll stop. And then they'll become few times a week, down to 1 or 2 times a week, then one time, couple of times a month. And eventually they'll click to the point that they'll completely master that. And the reason I'm spending so much time explaining that is because that is the reality of the journey. I've been in this industry for over 27 years now. And every year we like to calculate how many people we had contact with that we work with. Last decade was mostly virtual, but still nonetheless, especially at our facilities, and between both of us, we're over 11,000 and some odd people that we literally have worked with, me personally, since 1997. And I would like to tell you that, at least 90% of those people succeeded. That's not even close. It's not. And anybody who tells you that every one of the clients succeeded, that would be absolutely lying to you. But I've seen this experience. I've seen this pattern without fail, day in and day out, week, month, year in and year out. And that is the reality of this journey. And those people that succeed, they don't give up. And eventually they click. And it just happens. And usually after that, as long as they're diligent, they never look back. So I need, my message here that I'm trying to portray is that don't give up. Don't give up, because it is a hard, arduous journey. All right. Whether you're trying to lose body fat and look better for a wedding, a cruise, an anniversary, whatever, or whether you're trying to address actually a legitimate health issue, nutrition is going to be key. That's a fundamental basics that if you don't have this foundation stapled down, nothing is going to come. Yeah, if you don't build on this foundation, everything else eventually is going to crumble. Okay. That is why, if you notice, the latest and the greatest now is the semaglutide like Ozempic and Wegovy and all that garbage that is damaging a lot of people. But aside from that, before that, it was the HCG diets, the methamphetamine-based, the fentramethazine drugs that were taken that, and all those worked for a while. They all did. Some were obviously better than others, but they all did. And worked for a little bit until they didn't work. And when they didn't work, people start to suffer again because the weight came back, oftentimes more than they actually lost. But the bottom line is they never addressed the root cause of the problem, and that was their food addiction. There's their sugar and processed food addiction. Okay, so the only way that you're going to succeed is to address your nutrition, and in order to address that, you have to be diligent and consistent. They have this iron will and discipline that is required. And give yourself grace, because you are going to fail. You are going to make mistakes numerous times, sometimes numerous times throughout the day. But as long as you don't give up, you will succeed. Again, that is the message that I'm really trying to portray. Now, when it comes to reversing chronic issues, whether, chronic hypertension, GI issues, dyslipidemia, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, whatever it might be, then nutrition is even more important, because now you're not just talking about losing weight and maybe addressing some slight issues, but now you're trying to address deep-rooted problems, and depending what they are. But that's a whole different journey. So the nutrition is the fundamental basic here without fail. But when it comes to deep-rooted chronic conditions, a lot of times the journey is even harder, and it can even take longer. So I often get asked a lot, well, how long is it going to take me for me to address my GI issues, or to address, the hypertension and, other chronic issues? Depending on how bad it is, depending how long it's been going on, sometimes can take 1 to 3, 4 months just to get stable, and 6 to 9 months to get better. True cellular healing can take up to a couple of years easily. And that's something that, again, people trip on. Because to this day, the mentality is still conventional based. So yes, okay, people come to us and say, well, I don't want to take medications, I don't have procedures, I don't want to do this and all that. So, okay, great. Well, you have to change your lifestyle, you have to change your diet, you have to do this is how long it takes. And they try to extrapolate horizontally the conventional model of standard of care to holistic, natural standard of care. It doesn't work like that. There's no supplements you're going to take. There's no, a particular protocol you're going to do. There's magic. And most certainly it's not going to happen within a week or even a month. It takes many months, many, many months usually. And depend, again, how bad things are, it can take up to a couple of years. Okay. So the bottom line here is that you have to have patience. You have to have diligence. You have to have discipline. Above all, don't ever give up. And give yourself grace because you are going to make mistakes. You are going to fail. And that is okay. And it is okay as long as you keep going, you get back up, and you keep trying again. It's like riding a bike when you were a kid. I don't know about you guys, but I can't tell you how many times I fall. I didn't give up. I kept going. I knew I was going to most likely, fall again, which obviously I did, but I kept going. And this is what I really want to encourage people here and really want to give the reality of the journey and what it entails, because it's not easy. It is simple, it really is, relatively speaking, but it is not easy. And the biggest detriment to that, hands down, is people's inability to follow the diet and, the food addiction that they're dealing with. And when I say food addiction, I'm talking about the addiction to ultra processed foods. Like we had the other podcast about that. I want to finish kind of I have a favorite saying. I have a whole bunch of favorite sayings from some of the pioneers of nutrition and holistic health. But one of them is Dr. Charles Mayo. You guys, I'm sure everybody has heard of the Mayo Clinic. He's the founder. But in 1946, Dr. Mayo made a statement, and I would like to read that statement to you. So here it goes. He goes, "Here, let me repeat one solemn truth, which should be repeated over and over and over each day until everybody comprehends its meaning and acts upon it. And that is, normal resistance to disease is directly dependent upon adequate nutritional food. Normal resistance to disease will never come out of a pill or box or a program. Adequate food is the cradle of normal resistance, the playground of normal immunity, the workshop of good health, and the laboratory of long and healthy life." Okay, so Dr. Charles Mayo, founder of the Mayo Clinic, 1946. Now, I know a lot of people think that's almost 80 years ago. The reality of it is, I can sit here for hours and then give quotes from people that predate in the 1800s, okay, that have been saying similar stuff like that because they knew. Everybody knows Hippocrates. Hippocrates is, I guess, credited as the father of, medicine, like a lot of people, do. But he too had phenomenal wisdom. And I have, honestly, a lot of his stuff, and a couple, sayings that I would like to, read is, obviously everybody knows that, and let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. A second very famous quote is that all disease, chronic disease, starts in the gut, in the colon, which is very, very true as well, without doubt. But he has a couple other ones, and two of those that I like a lot is everyone has a doctor in him and her. We just have to help it in its own work. The natural healing force within each one of us is the greatest force in getting well. Our food should be our medicine, and our medicine should be our food. That is actually the full quote that people always quote the latter part. So, again, this same song has been sung by different people, different languages, different eras, different ways, but the message is the same. And I'd like to just leave you with these facts about this podcast, because unless you get that concept, you will never get well. I can guarantee you that. You can have all the medications, you can have all the procedures, you can exercise until you're blue in the face, you can do all the good modalities like the infrared saunas and the cold plunges and massages and acupuncture and detoxes and on and on and on. Will they help to a point? Sure. But will they ever address the root cause of the problem? No, they're not. So Anyway, guys, I would like to leave you with these. What are we at? We're at 30 minutes. That was my goal. I don't want to bore you guys to death. So thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a great day, a blessed day, and really think about what we talked about today. If you guys have any questions, yeah, I'm here. Don't be afraid. Please reach out to us. If we can answer any question, we'd love to. Visit us in DrPND.com. Literally, as you guys see on my show, DrPND.com. Contact us. We give free phone consultations. If we would, we'd love to talk to you. If we can help you, we would love to do so. But anyway, I hope you guys are healthy and well, and keep going strong. Do not give up.